Okay, I'm back. Before I crumb coat, I'm going to fill the cake with buttercream. Now, there is a lot of tutorials out there that leave this in one piece, and the top in one piece too, and they might pipe buttercream over the top and maybe some to sandwich the two layers together, but that's it. Where I'm about taste. And yeah, it might look great, but cake's boring on its own. It needs buttercream. And no, and if you don't have a light sponge, this is one. So don't worry about that. But if you don't have a light sponge and you don't fill it with buttercream and jam or a raspberry sauce or a strawberry sauce, it's a bit bland. That's my take on it. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, but for me, I'm sorry, it has to be cut and filled. So we're going to start with the base first, alright? And you can get a measuring cutter which measures the centre, but I don't. And I'm just going to by eye mark it and then cut through. Now the key is to turn as you go, and that's what I tend to do. And then as I turn, I push. So I'm pushing further and further in as I go, like so, till eventually it comes apart, which it has. Voila. Voila. So I'm going to turn that over. You're left with your sponge, your two halves, and I'm going to buttercream, okay, the base. So you can use a spatula or whatever method you want. I tend to use this. It's perfect for the job because it's small and it's flexible. So I place some cream. We'll start with this, holding the cake if you can, and push. Don't spread it all over if it tears. It's better to add more buttercream, alright, because you'll take the bottom of the cake crumbs off and into your buttercream. And don't be shy with the buttercream, but at the same time, don't overdo it. Alright, and I'm just going to have a little bit extra here, just for the edge here, like so, like that. It doesn't matter if it runs off the edge, because we can clean that up. But that's basically the buttercream on. Not too much and not too little. If you put too much on, okay, using my finger here, if you put too much on, when you put the other layers on, the weight of the cake will push down, and if you're using fondant, it could bubble out, and sometimes you see cakes that have like bumps in, and that's because they've put way too much filling it inside. So on this side I'm going to put some raspberry sauce, but you can use jam or strawberry jam or raspberry jam or whatever filling you're up to, Nutella, whatever. I'm just going to put some jam. Well, this is raspberry sauce, but hey. And then with a clean spatula, again the same thing, spreading it liberally. Again, trying to get that balance right. Not too much, not too little. But whatever filling you like, or what your birthday boy or girl wants. This is for a 70th birthday. This is my mother's 70th birthday cake, and really, to be honest, I have so much to do. I am winging it a little, and I am rushing. but I have to get it done. It's one of those things, as you'll find out yourself. So there's my filling, and I need to now return it to the cake. Okay, and you just firmly place that down. I mean, eventually that will turn on itself, but I'm going to just neaten that up a little, using the spatula, just to get the excess off, like so. And I'm going to return this now to the fridge, and that'll stay in the fridge until I'm ready to crumb coat. So I'm going to put that in the fridge. Okay, and then we're on to the lid. Same thing, use your eye, kind of halfway. I'm thinking around about here, round about. And again, place your mark. I'm trying to do this kind of the wrong side, but hey. Place your mark, and then with your knife, go around the edge. Just turning as you go. And as you go, move inwards. And that will take the roof off. And the same thing applies. Some buttercream first. Not too much on that because it doesn't require it. It's just for the lid, and I think that will suffice. If you haven't got a turntable, a plate like this is just as good. I have a turntable. It's one thing I do have. And the more cakes you do, the more you realise of how good it is to have one of these. So again, I've put my buttercream on. Scrape off your palette knife, and then add on the turn, just gently here because it's very delicate, this part, a little bit of jam. That should do me. And lift and just spread around. Doesn't need too much, it's just to add a little bit of taste when you, because you can then cut this into two sections. You can cut the bottom and eat that, and then you can save the top for later and eat it separately if you wish. So I'm going to return it. Okay, and then scrape away any excess with your knife, and again place them both in the fridge. I would say no less than 20 minutes until that buttercream's firmed up before you go to the next stage. So I'm going to tidy up now, and I'll be right back. Right, these have been in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm ready to crumb coat. Basically, crumb coating is, I suppose, an American phenomenon. They set me off anyway, and I was inspired by watching some of the masters of the art. And they use buttercream to adhere the fondant to, which is a perfect medium to use. So I'm going to crumb coat this, and then obviously the top. But I won't show you how to do the top because it'll take too much time, but I'm going to give you the gist of how to do it. In a lot of cake tutorials, they put a very thick layer of buttercream around, and I'm not having a criticism there, but I don't do that because I know that butter is very, very temperamental, and all it would take is a little bit of humidity, and basically your cake will start to slump because the buttercream melts. So I put just enough for the fondant to adhere to. So we're going to start. I'm holding a little bit of pressure, not too much, on the cake, and I'm going to start going around with my buttercream. At first this is just kind of a rough go, and I'm kind of taking off as I go. And again, right to the top. You can start at the top and work down, whichever you're comfortable with. Again, a little bit of pressure on the top and smooth it round. Keep going. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can for you, but just to bear in mind, I'm not a professional. I don't claim that I am. I'm a home baker, taught myself, and I was a baker first, cake decorator second. And I just at the moment do this for my family. So I'm just moving around quickly for you, just to give you the gist of how to crumb coat. And it's just, ooh, I'm having a spillage. Oh dear. And then we're going to remove. Well, we're not. We're just going to smooth that over, because you want your fondant to have a smooth effect, and if you do this right and have it as smooth as you possibly can, you will have that. And again, I'm removing as I go. There you go, see? And then a little on the top. This looks sloped, but it isn't. It's because it's sat on the plate on an awkward angle. Believe me, it's flat. And again, on the, well, this is actually going to be the bottom, but I actually cover my Giant Cupcake that way. I don't roll around that way. I cover this way. It'll make more sense later. And then I turn it the right way around. But you'll all find your own way of perfecting this. I just think not a lot of people there's not a lot of tutorials out there that show you how to make the Giant Cupcake. I think they're reluctant to, as if it's a big secret. And it's not really. I learnt myself, and I thought I'll share it with you. And there's a little bit of a lip here, so going around like that just to take that edge off. Again, it's something you will get used to with practice, and practice makes perfect. I'm not going to put any more buttercream on it for the time being. What I'll do is I'm going to put that back in the fridge for another 10 minutes, and then I'll do a second coat. And while off camera, I'll do a coat on here, one coat on here. Put them in the fridge for 10 minutes and then do the second coat, and I'll come back midway through the crumb coating of the second layer. Be right back. Okay, I've done a second coat on the base. I'm just finishing off on the top. With the top, because I'm doing it in a different way, making it more contemporary, you don't actually need to worry too much about this looking amazing. So it's just basically for the fondant to adhere to. So I'm going to just smooth and take off the excess like so. Doesn't have to be perfect, the top. You'll find out later why. So don't beat yourself up about this if you haven't got it perfectly smooth. No indentations. It doesn't matter, believe me. Trust me on the sunscreen. Alright. So that'll do. That will do. Both are going to go in the fridge. I'm going to wash up, and then we'll be ready to cover the base. I'm doing it, I think, pink, I've decided, but I might change my mind, but I'm doing the base pink for now. And I'll be back soon. Okay, this is the boring bit. I've mixed my pink fondant It was white and I just added some pink colour gel to, and now I'm just going to put a little bit of icing sugar on and we're going to start to roll. I kind of move as I go in the beginning to stop it from sticking. Don't overload your work surface with lots and lots of icing sugar, for the simple reason you'll dry your fondant out and it could crack. So I'm turning as I go. You want it thin, but not too thin. So, you know, I go in millimetres, so about 4 millimetres, round about. Not much more or less than that. So I'm going to just turn that just ever so slightly. Put a little bit more icing sugar. It's very warm in here today. I got a sweat on. It's like going to the gym without paying the membership. Okay, I'm just going to measure this just to see how we're going. Move as quick as you can, really. That's about it. Maybe a little bit more. Again, I'm just going to lift it using my rolling pin. A little bit more icing sugar. Woo! And there we go. And this is where you got to kind of move quickly. So I've rolled it and I'm just going to, with my smoother, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a polish. It doesn't matter too much, but I do like to polish it before I put it on the cake. I'm going to polish that like so. Like that. I'm happy. I'm going to get my cake out of the fridge. It's been in about 10 minutes, something like that. And I've put it on a little bit of a new base, covered it in cling film so they're not to ruin my new cake board, but I just want it on a flat surface. And using your rolling pin, you flip like so and smooth as quick as you can, and then turn. Because this isn't on what's the word, turntable, I'm going to be relatively quick with this, and I don't have a lot of movement, because fondant can stretch and you want to keep it as firm as you can on the surface. So I'm going to cut away a little bit of the excess, not a great amount, but enough to stop it from stretching, and hope this is in focus. I'm just going to cut off some of the excess to stop it from pulling the fondant. Remembering this is the bottom, so try not to worry too much, and I'm just smoothing the edges like that, like so. And I've left a little bit of a lip, and there's a reason for that, which I'll show you now. So you get a plate or something flat. I'm going to flip it. So place it on, and it's kind of like flip. Okay. And then using your hands, pushing the fondant around. And then I'm going to just take off a little bit of the excess. You don't need all of that fondant showing. And anyway, it'll ruin the cake because you don't want loads of fondant on your cake, do you? I don't. So don't worry too much. That'll tidy up. That'll tidy up. And we're going to put it back on its bum again. So just pushing that in ever so slightly and then pushing it back the way it was, like that. And then again, smoothing off. Moving as quickly as you can. It is better with a turntable, but I'm not using one today because I want to show you that you can do it without one. And basically put this to the side for if there's some oh, there's a bit of a dull. You can smooth that out with your finger. There's some tearing ever so slightly, but you won't see that because that's the bottom, and I'm going to cover it with a lovely bow. So I'm going to let this dry out a little. You can put it back in the fridge as long as it's not too humid in the house. You could put it back in the fridge while you prepare the top. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to tidy all this mess up, pop this in the fridge, put the kettle on, and I'll be back to show you how to do the top and put the cake actually together. I'll be right back. Okay, just trying and sort that. This is where the fun begins. I've turned it upside down, or the right way, and I've placed some strawberry jam on the base so that the cake can sit. And what I've found is with the Giant Cupcake, especially when it's made this way, split into two and filled, it needs extra support. So with a dowel, I'm going to, right in the centre, place the dowel in like so. Like that. Okay? And we've already crumb coated the lid, and we're going to sit that as neatly as we can over the cake. We can move it however we want, and don't worry about it being lopsided or not going the right way. I've put some buttercream on the base just so that this sits still on it. And this is the fun bit. I'm just going to move that back a little and move this out of the way. This is the fun bit, the bit I enjoy. And I've got some fondant. I hope this is picking up. It isn't, so I'm going to just adjust my camera. Okay. I've got some fondant, and I have seen cakes done this way. I've never paid for a tutorial to see how it's done. I've never watched a tutorial to see how it's done, but I guessed. But I know that Andrea Sweetcake, she does amazing Giant Cupcakes, and I took my inspiration from her. I don't know whether or not it's done like this, because as I say, I've never seen a tutorial or paid for any lesson on it. But I'm going to roll this into a sausage. Hello. It's going to have to be quite large. It's going to have to be. Alright. And this is really the fun bit. The bit I really, really like. I hope this is coming into focus, yeah. So you want it around about the same size in the beginning, and then as it peters off to the end, you want to narrow that end. Alright, so I'm doing that now, petering it off to the end like so. Okay. And again, narrowing it So basically it starts off larger and moves in smaller. Okay. Alright. And you'll need some water. Okay. And this is what I do. This is what I do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get some water. I'm just going to put it in an egg cup. I'm just going to add some water here. Yeah, that'll do me. And on the base of the cake, I'm just going to bring that over now. I've made my sausage. And I'm going to lift up. Okay. I'm just going to place some water around, just so that the fondant will stick to the cake. And because it's on my turntable, I've got more ability to move around. So I'm just going to place some water around that section. If it needs any more buttercream at this stage, good time to add it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of buttercream at the back. Because it's the lip. And it's going over the cake. Okay. Like that. So, okay. So, starting from the back. Start from the back of the cake. Okay. I'm going to thin this in as well. And don't worry too much if it doesn't go to plan. Starting at the back of the cake, we're just going to add the fondant. Alright, and moving the cake around. And then, as it peaks, we're going to do this motion. Now I've run out of fondant. There's no worries, I'll just roll some more. But we're going to make this kind of spiral effect, and then we'll cover that in the white fondant. So I'm going to roll some more out now, and I'll show you what to do next. So I've rolled some extra fondant out, and we're going to continue where I left off. And I'm just going to stick that onto there. Okay, and then we're going to swirl it around the top, and hopefully like so. Okay, now bearing in mind, don't worry, play with it. Play with it. Alright. Okay, so once it's on and you're happy, I'm just going to pinch this circle, the sausage, so it's a little bit sharper at the ends. Now I don't know if that's how they do it, I don't care. That's how I do it. Alright, and I'm playing with it. I'm playing. And it's nice to play with fondant. It is. So I'm just pinching around the top of the fondant like this. Okay. And again around the base to make a lip. As you're making a lip, don't worry, it's all fine. Okay, we're making that lip. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It doesn't matter. Alright. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let that dry for, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes, just to give the fondant chance just to harden ever so slightly before I add and cover with the fondant that's going to cover the cupcake. But you can kind of see where I'm going with this, can you? It's my take on it. And sorry if it's not what you expected. I'm not piping with buttercream. I'm doing it like this. And that's how I wanted it. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because you're not going to see this. You're going to see just the outline shape. So I'm going to let that dry now, and I'll be back once I've once I've rolled out some white fondant to cover this. I'll be back soon. Okay, I've rolled out my white fondant, and I've just placed a little bit of water all the way along the bottom of the spiral underneath, so that when I put the fondant on, it adheres underneath. Have I got my pizza cutter? I might need my pizza cutter for some trimming. And let's do this. So I'm going to just move that over ever so slightly. Pick up my fondant. See if it's in focus first. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, and then very gently drape. And we're starting at the top, so I'm using trying to do this so that you can see. So I'm using my fingers to show you the delve, but I'm going to move as quickly as I can, simply because it doesn't give you much time. Fondant is not that forgiving, trust me. Trust me on it, it's not that forgiving. And I'm just going around the cake and pushing it in using my hands like so that it sticks to the buttercream, and that it also sticks to the spiral that I've been making. And now we're at the front. Okay, like this, and then I'm just going to trim some excess off. Okay, trimming it off as I go. Okay, and you just have to be careful here, because you don't want to cut the fondant underneath, but at the same time you want rid of it. You want rid of that excess so you can start moulding. And I'm just pushing that under where I put the water, you know. And you can trim as you go, which I will be very soon. And you can see the excess there, but I can trim that. We're going around, and I've just caught it there ever so slightly with my hands. Okay, pushing down like so, keeping it smooth. So I'm just gonna, because the camera is actually in the way, I'm going to trim this off camera because it's more difficult. I need to get to the front and I can't with the camera in my way. I've got a very small space to work with. But can you see how it's coming together and it's forming? And I use my hands for that. So I'll just go off camera and quickly do it rather than wasting more time for you. But I'm basically just going to trim off the excess. I'll be right back. So I've smoothed it off as much as I can. and I'm just going to let that dry, and it'll take about an hour or so, but you can see the effect that it's making. Now I've made a cherry, which I'm going to sit on the top like that, and I'll just glue that on. I've got a little bit of edible glue here, so I'm going to place that in the centre and put on my cherry, and it sits perfectly in there. And I've got obviously other elements that I'll be adding later. That's basically how to put it together. Now I'm going to decorate this with biscuits and cookies and things like that, but you'll find my tutorial number 3A and 3B. Sorry, this is 3A, but 3B will be a tutorial on how to make some fondant cookies that are going to go on the cake and around it, and also how to make a fondant bow. That will be number 3C of how to make a bow, and I'm going to put a big bow along and around this cupcake just to add a little bit more interest. So thanks for watching. There'll be more tutorials. Please look at the others, and I would love it if you would just give me a thumbs up, because this is being done in a day from start to finish, and I'm really tired. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.